so much for
that was
coming out this
unthinkable
morning.
and unimaginable. And finally, I'll say this
I'm
on this 10th
Captain,
anniversary with
Mickey
family
McCamish,
members
US
of the
Navy
fallen
retired,
five
and I'll be
here.
your MC
In the
this
same
morning.
way that these columns here represent on the
July
banks of the
16th
Tennessee River
2015,
the lasting
at
impact of
approximately
your loved
1100
one
hours,
on our
11
community.
o'clock a.m.
Know that while we know and you know that their
Today
roots
that's
here weren't
ingrained in all of our memories
their legacy is
as
permanent.
Chattanooga.
To some
It's
extent,
a
it lives
day
in all of us who have an
that
opportunity
in our
to serve
minds
this
we'll
community.
always remember
As Captain
where
McCamish
we
said,
were
we
at
pride ourselves on being
that
one of the
particular
most
time.
patriotic communities in America. I believe our
Four
response to
United
this
States
attack
Marines,
proved that
a
we, in
U.S.
fact,
Navy
can live
sailor,
up to that ambition.
lost their lives
We're
in the
grateful that you're
line
here.
of duty.
Imagine your
to
loss.
These lives were lost just a way too soon. Even though we're labeled the most patriotic city in America, unbelievable to all of us Chattanoogans, this could not have happened in our own backyard, but it did. I think what happened on that day is we, Chattanooga, we lost some of our innocence on that day. Today, here on the river, 10 years later, we are here to remember and honor the 4 United States Marines and United States sailors that in the line of duty gave their life, they paid the price so that we enjoy the freedoms that we have here today. At this time, I'll ask Melissa Blayless to come forward, sing our national anthem at this time. Please stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Melissa, and please be seated. The Chattanooga Area Veterans Council is the group that is the umbrella of all of the veterans groups in our immediate area. Bill Norton is the current chairman, president of the Chattanooga Area Veterans Council. So I'd like to ask Bill to come forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Mickey. The Chattanooga Area Veterans Council, coalition of all veterans groups in the Chattanooga area, has this year adopted the Fallen Five memorial and ceremonies into the council, just like we would do at Memorial Day or Veterans Day. So this is an event that'll never be forgotten. It'll move on through the years in the event that some of us fall away. Mickey has been appointed as the first chairman, and you can see why. He's done a fantastic job. and he's writing the script for this ceremony. So I really appreciate all the Marines that showed up and all the Navy personnel that showed up and all the elected officials that have shown up. Most of the council members are here, past and present, that we've had for years, and I appreciate them showing up. But the Chattanooga Area Veterans Council will always be sure to maintain an homage to this group. Thank you very much.
Before Mayor Kelly comes forward for remarks, I'd like to read a joint resolution that has been passed by both City of Chattanooga and Hamilton County. On July the 16th of 2015, 5 brave servicemen made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty, and the community was forever changed. Whereas in the wake of this tragedy, our community stood united in strength, in compassion, and in resolve, coming together when we were called Chattanooga Strong. Today, 10 years later, we pause to honor the fallen 5 and their families, to collect on these heroes, and to establish and remember and promise that we will never forget them. The unwavering spirit that's shown through the people of Chattanooga and Hamilton County in the face of adversity reflects the very best of our nation and serves as a testament to our community, resilience, and patriotism. We are reminded that freedom demands eternal vigilance, and it is our solemn duty to remain steadfast in protecting the values and the way of life for which we live. Here in our community, we remain eternally grateful to the fallen 5 and continue to carry forward their legacy with pride, remembrance, and determination. Therefore, we, Tim Kelly, Mayor of the City of Chattanooga, and Weston Wamp, Mayor of Hamilton County, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim July the 16th of 2025 as the Fallen 5 Day of Remembrance. Mayor Kelly.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Captain McCamish, and thank you for everything you do for the veterans community and continue to do. I also want to thank all the elected officials that are here today. Michelle Renaud, Representative Michelle Renaud, Mayor Wamp, of course, Zach Wamp, Mayor Wamp's dad, Representative Greg Martin, Councilman Cody Harvey, Juvenile Court Clerk Gary Baylor, Sheriff Garrett, Councilman Clark, Senator Bo Watson. Thank you all for being here. This is a solemn day in Chattanooga. I'll never forget where I was when it happened. Sitting in a Rotary Club meeting when somebody burst through the doors, and everybody immediately, was just shocked in disbelief at what was happening. But what happened after that, just as people's character is revealed in crisis, I think communities' character is revealed in crisis, and the way in which Chattanooga responded was nothing short of remarkable. As we know now, we still talk about Chattanooga Strong, and the way this community came together, the way our own police force responded to the crisis, and the way the community came together after that was something that at the time I was very, very proud of. We should all be proud of in Chattanooga, and I'm even more proud of today as a mayor, that we continue to remember, as we will always and should always, these 5 heroes who protect us all, who protected us all, and what they stand for, paid the ultimate sacrifice for us. And again, I think that this is the most patriotic city in America. And I think the way in which we responded to this tragedy illustrates that, very frankly. We should say their names. because again, this day is remarkable in that it's been 10 years. And as far as I'm concerned, I think we will memorialize this day forever in Chattanooga. Those heroes and their families will live in our hearts forever. And so we should always remember Sergeant Carson Holmquist, Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Sullivan, Staff Sergeant David Wyatt, Lance Corporal Skip Wells, and Petty Officer Second Class Randall Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kelly. Now, Mayor Weston Want, Hamilton County Mayor Weston Want. Mayor.
Thanks, Captain. You know, the worst of days cause a family and a community to either fray in its fabric or strengthen, but you don't come out of days as awful as July 16th the same. And this community, in its history, has had days that we came out of it frayed. I think we all, at this 10-year anniversary, have lived and experienced that we came out of this unthinkable tragedy and attack stronger. Part of that is because civilians like myself watched as first responders, many of whom are here today, ran to fire. Everybody hopes that they live in a community where people who wear a badge will run to fire. We know that in this community. And I would ask on a day where we honor the fallen five that you all join me in a round of applause of gratitude for the first responding agencies that are represented here, who are forever affected by what they experienced that day in a different way than those of us who live here and feel changed and connected to these five individuals. We saw the very best of public service in our community through the way that Chattanooga Police and Chattanooga Fire and Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies and Hamilton County EMS rushed to a scene that was unthinkable and unimaginable. And finally, I'll say this on this 10th anniversary with family members of the fallen five here, in the same way that these columns here represent on the banks of the Tennessee River the lasting impact of your loved ones on our community. Know that while we know and you know that their roots here weren't deep, their legacy is permanent. To some extent, it lives in all of us who have an opportunity to serve this community. As Captain McCamish said, we pride ourselves on being one of the most patriotic communities in America. I believe our response to this attack proved that we, in fact, can live up to that ambition. We're grateful that you're here. We can't imagine your loss, but we want to pledge to you at this 10-year anniversary that we've not forgotten. In fact, we carry with us the service to country and our community every day that your loved ones represented, and we're very grateful for their service and your presence with us today.
Thank you, Mayor Want. It's now my pleasure to ask retired U.S. Navy Commander Tim White. Tim, a very close friend through the years. Tim was a commanding officer of the Navy Operations Support Center on July the 16th of 2015. Commander Tim White. Commander White.
Thank you, Mickey. It's really an honor and a privilege to be with all of you this morning. July 16th, 10 years ago, was a beautiful summer day, much like today is. We could hear the birds singing, hear the bugs singing as well. And it was interrupted by squealing tires and a crash, and my command duty officer, Petty Officer Smith, running into my office and said, "Sir, somebody just crashed through the gate. What do we do?" That morning started, however, differently than every other morning. As I slept, a very vivid dream that troubled me, where was talking to a bearded man, and there were a group of people behind him, all holding weapons, but all Americans. And I said, "You're an American and I'm an American, so we should be able to work through our differences, right? Rather than be at each other's throats." That dream troubled me mostly because we were experiencing a time in our nation of a lot of division and a lot of violence, and where we were not supporting our first responders. But he replied, "No, we're not going to be able to work through our differences," and he was going to try to kill my family and me. And that dream certainly put me on edge. And tragically, that car that crashed through our gate belonged to an American Salafi jihadist determined to take as many lives with him as he tried to die a martyr. And the suffering and loss the family and friends of the Chattanooga 5 heroes have experienced is extreme. I can only imagine. But what he intended for evil, something to make us as a community cower in fear and become weak, become afraid, had the opposite effect. And I think that it's wonderful that we remember that today as well. While his attacks were on the recruiting center, recruiting offices, and the reserve center behind us, the military members specifically, they knew that they were not left to themselves to mourn and grieve and heal. I've heard people say that the terrorist attack on July 16th changed Chattanooga permanently. And my family and I were new to Chattanooga when the attack happened, but we witnessed and experienced following the attack what really demonstrated to us what real community was and what it looked like to overcome differences that seemed to be big but weren't big when we looked at what was really important. As military members and families, we were not left to mourn, heal, and recover alone. The people of Chattanooga and surrounding areas very much rallied around the family, the friends of our fallen 5 heroes and the military community, figuratively linking arms with us and bearing that burden along with us. I think the unity that we witnessed and experienced then is what changed Chattanooga permanently. And the reason Chattanooga has never been the same and will never be the same. The unity, care, and compassion one for another was beautiful and gave me hope and strength for the days immediately following the attack, but also gave me hope now for our country, where we see much of the strife and division all around us. And if we could do it then as a community, could we not do it now as a country? Every day since that very difficult day and the many that have followed it, I have thought about Petty Officer Randall Smith, Gunny Sullivan, Staff Sergeant Wyatt, Sergeant Holmquist, and Lance Corporal Wells, and their families and friends. I've thought about their service and their sacrifice that they've made to the nation, and the families continue to make for their nation. One of my life goals in the past 10 years has been to live in a way that honors their sacrifice and to share their stories with those people that will hear, to remember their heroism, to remember their love for each other and their love for the country. And my charge to you, my charge to this community is that we would live all in, remembering our own mortality and honor the legacy of those that have gone before us. Let us honor those 5 heroes with our lives and the way that we live them. Honor the sacrifices of their family and their friends. And may we still strive towards the unity that many of us experienced, modeling that love for our fellow man and bringing it into our own communities. May God help us all to do this for his glory and for the good of each other and for our communities. May God bless you, and may God bless our country and our community with healing and unity. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to invite Brigadier General Kevin Gerard, Commanding General, U.S. Marine Corps Forces Reserve, for remarks. General Gerard. Thank you, sir.
162 and a half years ago, several hundred miles to the north, our 16th president gathered for a similar ceremony to remember the fallen. President Lincoln wrongly posited
that the world would little note nor long remember what he said there that day. But he rightly asserted that the world would never forget what they did there. And so, in a like manner, we gather here today to remember what they did here that day 10 years ago. It's a reminder for those of us whose duty it is to bear the sword. The Marines and sailors and other service members in the crowd, for those of the brave first responders who were present on that day and who are present every day in the city of Chattanooga and the county of Hamilton. It's a reminder that we don't bear the sword in vain, that evil is afoot amongst us, and it is our duty to be ever vigilant, ever prepared, that we may vanquish evil wherever it may be found. We'll find no sanctuary amongst us. Finally, it's a day to speak to the families and friends of the fallen five. I find that my words often fail to communicate adequately the depth of gratitude that I feel in my heart, my family and I, as we consider those who are no longer with us. We are tempted at these times to shake our fist at heaven because the ways of an omnipotent God are often inscrutable. But just as he is sovereign over the affairs of men, he is also beneficent and kind. So where my words fail to comfort, let us collectively take comfort in his words together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen and amen. At this time, we will carry out the placement of wreaths. Lieutenant Commander Marion Sams, who is the commanding officer of the Navy Reserve Center, and Captain Anthony Valdez, who is the captain of the instructor of the Marine Corps, Mike Battery, here in Chattanooga, will oversee the placement of wreaths.
Reverence and attention to roll call. Logistics Specialist, Second Class, Randall Smith. Sergeant Carson Holmquist. Staff Sergeant David Wyatt. Lance Corporal Squire Wells. Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Sullivan. Commander Darren Cundiff will now play Amazing Grace.
Before we depart, last evening I received a email from Major Chris Cotton, and there's several members of the unit, Mike Battery unit, on that day are here with us today. They stand to my left. Chris asked if I would read this letter to us, and Chris, of course, was in charge of the Marines at that time. Dear Chattanooga friends and family, 10 years ago, the unthinkable happened. A radical terrorist attacked both the recruiting station and the Navy Operations Support Center, the NOS, which resulted in the lives of 5 brave, outstanding men: Tommy Sullivan, David White, Randall Smith, Carson Holmquist, and Skip Wells. These men gave their lives to protect their fellow man, sacrificed brotherhood and love, all other descriptors of what these men embodied. While evil tried to prevail, these men stood and gave their lives to ensure that the good would prevail, a sacrifice that I am grateful for every day. How many kids, parents, and people passing by were saved by the action of the man that stood firm that day? I don't have a number, but I know that if it was not one, there were many, and these men made a difference. Chattanooga, I am grateful for all of you. You set a standard of what a community can accomplish in tragedy that will stand the test of time. The private citizens, the police department, and other emergency services rallied to our tragedy inside a difference that made in our community. Thank you will never be enough to repay for all of the support and love you showed Kelly and I. But I will say it every day in my heart. Thank you, Chattanooga, for being there in our darkest hour. Major Cotton. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for remembering and honoring the lives of 4 U.S. Marines and a U.S. Navy sailor, without whose lives whose lost lives in a line of duty, it gives us the freedoms that we have here today. And may their lives just serve to remind all of us that freedom isn't free. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. Thank you. Sir, appreciate you. Yes, wonderful ceremony. Thank you. Appreciate Chattanooga.